Good afternoon and welcome to an episode of Mindfulness, Sexuality, and Relationships. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco, modern sex and relationship coach. I am the founder of Tantra Wisdom, and today my topic is orgasmic expression. And orgasmic expression for everyone, both men and women. I know that the topic of orgasm can sometimes be a challenging yet very popular topic for women in orgasm, but today I want to talk about how the orgasm and the breath come together and how the inner witness plays a role in the way that we express our orgasm, attaining a full body orgasm for both men and women. So let's start with what exactly is an orgasm. An orgasm is an emotional expression. It is a way of getting out of your own way, letting go, leaving the body. An orgasm can be a sneeze. An orgasm can be an expression after a great meal or a great rock concert or a great show, a great dance event, and you feel orgasmic after visually watching something or eating something or anything that takes place with your senses is the expression of what an orgasm is. So not necessarily does it have to be the orgasm that you have during sexual intercourse. You've heard people say that how orgasmic that meal was, or just looking at a beautiful painting. Boy, is that orgasmic. So orgasmic, again, comes from the emotions. It comes from the body, the emotions, and the connection. And how this connection comes from your subconscious to your conscious, how we let go of our fears and how we incorporate the inner witness. So my goal today is to teach you how to let go of your inhibitions in the physical body, how to open up to the voice. Now we have chakras. There are 7 of them, and the voice one is the most powerful. If you're not having the voice and the sound during an orgasm, both men and women, your orgasm is not being fully expanded or fully connected. So what we want to do is learn how to unlock this potential for pleasure. I often hear women say they want to let go. They want to let go of their inhibitions. They want to be freer. They don't want to feel so much fear, because fear becomes a bondage type feeling. During sexuality or any part of your life, fear is not opening up to your bliss, not opening up to your higher power of pleasure. So I believe that if men were more letting go in the heart, now us women have to teach men how to open up that heart, then, and the breath, because men are not as breathy as women are. Women are trained to be more breathy. They give birth and things of that sort. But during an orgasm, if a man were more letting go in the heart and the breath, this would help and balance out the woman's orgasmic pleasure. So it really does take 2 to tango. And most men's orgasms are stuck in their throats, that I have noticed with my experiences in dating and the men that I make love to in my life. They control the chest, they control the throat during an orgasm, while women control their minds and the body expression. So again, what is orgasm? It's leaving the body and coming back. It's getting out of your own way. What causes these orgasmic challenges and the expression as well? Sometimes there's a lot of shame and hiding and guilt. The guilt is just from experiences. It could come from childhood. It comes from different generations and the way we are taught to be in society. Maybe non-acceptance or not feeling loved by someone. So again, how do we unlock this potential for pleasure with the sound of our voice? We're here talking about your orgasmic expression. Getting back to the relationship with your own feelings. That was another podcast of mine. Self-love, but the relationship to your own feelings. Again, you're making love. The male and female are making love inside one human being. And there's that inner witness. And once you can connect to that, you are becoming more sexually empowered with yourself. You are getting more in touch with your sexual being. So therefore, you're not performing for your partner, especially in the women. Sometimes they tend to perform a little more, or even men do, but women feel they have to have an orgasm for a man. It's not really about having that orgasm. It's about how much of the expression that's in the sacred space between the two of you, and how much of that expression is connecting and living and alive and connecting to the universe. Are women trying to climax for their partner? Once you own your feelings, you become connected again to the inner witness, and the manifestation of your being, your sexual being, comes alive. So we have to sexually empower ourselves before we can connect with a beloved. Now there's the sexual voice, and there's sexual communication and sexual expression. So there are three different things here. The sexual communication is discussion, you and your partner, what you like, what you dislike, what she or he can do more of, and if they put their hand here or touch your body that way or this way. Now that is very important. That is one thing you need to have if you're going to have the voice. So the sexual voice is opening up to the higher power in the voice, which becomes the body and the voice and the mind and the spirit. Sexual expression. And this is the orgasm. So the orgasm is the full alignment of your body, mind, physical, spiritual, sexual, all in one. And this is what the expression is. It's the movement of the whole reality of your being. So during my emotional cleansing classes, what I teach you is how to charge the body up. The emotions need to be charged. So your orgasm is a charge, and that you discharge when you release, like a sneeze. Your body charges up and you release and discharge when you sneeze. Now, if you're the type of person that's very passive, or you're just not connected to your senses or your physical, and you're not supporting your sexual being by doing exercises, by doing different things out there, in this day and age with texting and technology, we need to support the sexual being so the sexual being stays alive. And to do that, we need to honor things such as, hey, take a yoga class, or, do some exercise. Charge up your body with a sport, or go to a football game and sit there and scream and holler and yell and be charged up. Part of the charge in the bedroom, in the sexual part, is how much you allow your passion to be free and alive during your life. Do you get excited when you go on a trip? I do. I'm excited when I get an ice cream cone. So I'm keeping my orgasmic self alive, and this is my sexual being. So the more passionate you are about life, the more you make love to life, the more that you will be able to connect to the orgasmic expression of your being. So it's a package, and it's a village, and it's not just between you and the partner. It is something that you have to learn to connect to and sexually empower yourself before becoming very sexually connected to a beloved. Again, that's about manifesting your sexual urge. I recommend going out, hanging out with children, getting empowered by watching them youthfully connecting and playing, and join a volleyball team. But we must actively charge the body in order for the charge to be there, or to be more active and be more connected during your sexual experiences. This is how you manifest your sexual urge. But we also have boundaries with that. We have to learn, or we do teach ourselves how to have the urge, how to have this manifestation, but how to channel it. Getting back to the orgasmic expression for both men and women, I want to talk about women for a moment. Women's sexuality is not limited by orgasm. In fact, there's more to sex than orgasm. And a lot of men, unfortunately, have been sold that the fantasy of spontaneous female orgasm is something now that they cannot accept, that women obtain pleasure from the sensual and emotional aspects of sex that occur before or without an orgasm. So again, there is more to sex than the orgasm, and this can be very challenging between a man and woman. That's why the sexual communication is important, to talk to each other, to teach each other about your senses, about what it is that you like and dislike. And in a lot of instances, a female finds satisfaction in knowing that her partner has enjoyed the contact and realizing she has contributed to the male's pleasure. So essentially, it can come down to the male's pleasure. But my goal with this podcast today is about teaching you how to open up your body and your throat and to have that sound, that sound. Remember Meg Ryan in that movie with Billy Crystal, how she demonstrated having an orgasm at the lunch table. Well, it really wasn't the orgasm in the lower body, it was the full body, and she was demonstrating her voice. And having the power of your voice and the sounds can open up all of your connective tissue, and it can actually mediate your disease process in the body. So men really think they are letting go when they have this high-powered ejaculation, but this isn't the case. If you look at their throat and look at their chest, does it look constricted, contracted? It looks bondage-like. There's a holding on to their power during their orgasm. So my goal is to open this part of the body up somatically through emotional cleansing, breathing techniques, so that he can fulfill her once he is open. And again, that does take heart opening. The whole orgasmic expression is a universal challenge, and it begins with all of our emotions and the villages we breed in and the environment and the evolution. Having orgasm for the universe. Making love to life. And getting back to what an orgasm is, a physical combined emotional response that takes place, such as a sneeze, a climax, in a non-sexual sense. Before the sexual revolution, the word orgasm was used in literature, where artists, such as the cathedral at Burgos, where artists left records of their ecstasy and a divine orgasm of stone. And if you go to India, you see a lot of this sexual kind of deities in stone, and so the orgasm is it is a high power. It is love. It's an expressive piece of art. Let's talk a little bit about the history of a female orgasm. Evolutionary biologists believe that the female orgasm has evolved as a way to encourage physical intimacy with a male partner. And this is so. If she is dead, laying there without sound, the male cannot really fully enjoy himself either. And then it just becomes a so-called happy ending or a quickie. So even during quickies, you can have emotion and response and connectivity and eye gazing, all of that. The history of the female orgasm. Before the 4th century, Hippocrates believed that the fetus was a result of female pleasure. He says in order to procreate, a woman must have orgasms. However, Aristotle disagreed, saying that only the man's semen was fertile, and that a woman had no procreative process. Female pleasure was looked down upon. This mentality continued into the Middle Ages. The church advocated the repression of female sexuality. It promoted chastity, female isolation. By the 18th century, it was believed that the female orgasm was necessary for reproduction. By the 19th century, husbands were forewarned never to awaken his wife's sexual desires. Manuals were written for young brides to lay perfectly still, and that they should not grunt or groan while the act was in progress. It wasn't until the Second World War, 1945, when the female orgasm was making its way back into society. The sexual revolution of the 1960s rode in, and the female sexual freedom was finally being recognized with the advent of the pill, contraception, and abortion. Dr. Wilhelm Reich coined the term sexual revolution. Getting back to orgasmic expression, making those sounds and feeling your full body vibrate during your most climactic moments, or your most exciting moments, even outside the bedroom. It's about having your voice sound during the release stage for both men and women, especially women, because of female pleasures being looked down upon back in the day. Orgasm is the height of one's emotional intensity. It is associated with involuntary actions such as vocalizations and muscular spasms in other areas of your body. So again, being conscious and connecting. So consciously connecting and being aware of all the different body parts, the autonomic nervous system, the fight, the flight, the connective tissue, which is the guy wire of the body, the part of the body that has the ability to become much more fluid and flexible. And if your emotions are blocked, dormant, or suppressed, your orgasms during sex will be split and not full. So having a split orgasm is disconnecting or staying in the head and not opening up to who you are. Your orgasm is who you are. So who are you in your life every day? Are you passionate? Connect and start to make love to life so that you will be able to connect to all of these different things that are so exciting, like taking a trip or taking a jump in the ocean, which I'm going to do tomorrow. That's going to be very orgasmic for me, since I love the waves and the salt water. It just fills my body with joy. To become expressive during your orgasms, or expressive in general, we need to begin with your suppressed emotions and undo the layers. Your emotions need to live. So getting back into the old traumas and things that you may have had one day. So for some people, they don't really realize why they become numb during sex, or why they don't have their fullness, or why they're quiet. Having the quiet orgasm, the sneak, the hiding. It's because there's some form of shame, and there's some form of fear, and some form of suppression, and possibly trauma that they may not have been aware of, that it even was trauma if it was. Just the experiences that we live. Sensation. So people have different degrees of neuroses, which some people have more sexual, they want to become a sex addict and have sex all the time, and they constantly making loud sounds, and others are very closed down. So you want to find that balance there. And there's different degrees of neuroses, and the sensations as well. In Tantra, we teach you how to open these sensations, how to stay connected and align all of the senses. How to help your orgasm grow for both men and women. Well, there's many Tantra classes out there. You can go to my Facebook group, Tantra Wisdom, and connect to a lot of teachers. There's Carla Tara, who teaches the ocean breath. There's Laurie Handlers. There's Charles Muir. There's many different teachers out there that can, and myself, that can teach you about opening up the emotions, the senses, and also the undulation of the body. If you don't dance, maybe take a dance class at the gym, or once in a while go out and dance, just to keep that passion in your body and the charge active. So desire and passion are the result, and prolonged orgasm and bonding. So bonding and feeling that orgasm just move and connect, and keeping that orgasm channeling for days after you meet with your beloved. So you have a better chance of riding the plateau during the orgasm if the breath, the emotions, and senses are aligned. I believe that vaginal orgasms for women are considered more of a full body orgasm, or at least if they have a more present partner, it can go longer and deeper and beyond. I also believe that orgasms depend on the type of breather you are and mover. Get that body moving, get that body breathing, get excited about other things in life. Again, the texting keeps us numb, or at least it numbs some of the senses. Pick up the phone once in a while and talk to your friends. Allow the exchange of emotions. Dr. Wilhelm Reich believes that if you're a chest breather, your orgasms aren't as felt and can be split in the lower body. Or if you're a stomach breather, you may be disconnected from the heart and the throat. And I believe that men are more in the lower body and women are more in the upper body. So again, we need to teach each other. And you need to have the sexual communication so that you can understand. The more talk we do with our partner, the better life gets. Breathing is an indicator of your emotional health because we hold trauma. And trauma could be anything. It could be mental, it could be physical, it could be an experience. But a lot of these things in the body are considered trauma, and they can be accessed through the breath. And once you start to feel more and you remove the fear and the conflicts in the subconscious body, your happiness and your joy of sex will become more present, will manifest itself in your entire life, not just in the bedroom. So having an orgasm is a natural way when you allow yourself to feel. So think back or just take a moment and see what your feelings are. Check in with your feelings. Do you give yourself the permission? Are you the type of person that's on the edge all the time? Or are you one of these people that is in denial or constantly controlling yourself or in resistance? So take your resistance and go beyond your resistance. Allow that fluid freedom there, freeing the mind of any interference that can get in the way of your screaming orgasms. So a few last things. I know there are different types of orgasms, that women have clitoral or vaginal, but there's that element of neurosis. And Wilhelm Reich defines neurosis in the terms of the blocks to having a full orgasm. And he says that if a male experiences erection, ejaculation, but no orgasm, that is not having an orgasm when the neurosis is blocking the fullness. So again, it's how much the connective tissue and the cells. So it's medical. This is a whole medical way of the body. So we must include everything when we learn what the body behavior is about. Now, according to Osho, a tantric orgasm is free from sexual intercourse by remaining for long periods of time at a pre-orgasmic state. So you're charging the body up, you're sustaining, you're transmuting. According to Osho, tantric sex without orgasm will eventually lead to orgasmic feelings spreading out to all of the conscious experience. I say we are sex. All of our energy is sex, and it runs through our entire system. So Tantra can teach you how to make love to life. So I'm just going to leave you on that note for now. This has been Anita DeFrancesco. You're listening to an episode of Mindfulness, Sexuality, and Relationships. Our topic has been orgasmic expression. Please check out my Facebook page, Tantra Wisdom, and connect to all the beautiful people posting there.